Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today I am going to deliver a lesson for class 12th, subject Zoology. Now, in our previous lesson, we discussed about innate immunity, wherein we understood that innate immunity is basically a non-specific type of defense present from the birth of an individual. And in fact, this type of immunity is inherited from the parents. We also discussed about the various barriers of innate immunity in our previous lesson that provide a non-specific type of defense for all pathogens or antigens equally. Now, these barriers are physical barriers, physiological barriers, cellular barriers, and inflammatory barriers, about which we discussed in detail in our previous lesson. Now, in today's lesson, we will discuss about the second type of immunity, that is the acquired immunity. So, for this acquired immunity is concerned, the immunity that an individual acquires after birth is called acquired or specific type of immunity, or is also known as adaptive immunity. This type of immunity is actually mediated by antibodies or lymphocytes. These lymphocytes may be B lymphocytes known as B cells, or T lymphocytes are also called as T cells, and also antibodies. Thus, acquired immunity consists of specialized B and T lymphocytes and antibodies. Now, these antibodies are basically specialized proteins produced in the body in response to an antigen that circulate in the body fluids like blood plasma or lymph. Now, we will discuss in detail about these antibodies in our next topic. Now, first of all, today we will discuss about the unique features of acquired immunity. This acquired immunity basically has 4 unique features. That is, number 1, the specificity, number 2, the diversity, number 3, the discrimination between self and non-self, and the 4th unique feature of this immunity is the memory. So for this first feature is concerned, that is the specificity. Specificity is the ability to differentiate between various foreign molecules and foreign antigens. Now, this diversity means that this type of defense mechanism is able to recognize a vast variety of foreign molecules or foreign antigens. Now, the third unique feature is the discrimination between self and non-self. That means this immunity can recognize and respond a foreign molecule, that is a non-self, and can avoid response to those molecules that are present within the body or they are the part of the body, that is self of an individual. Now, the last unique feature of this immunity is what we call as memory. This means that when the immune system encounters a specific foreign agent, for example a microbe, for the first time, it generates an immune response and eliminates the invader. This is called the first encounter or first response, primary response. The immune system retains the memory of the first encounter. As a result, a second encounter occurs more quickly and abruptly than the first encounter. That is the secondary response, which is very abrupt and fast. This proves that this type of immunity is having the memory of the first attack by the microbe. Now we will discuss about the development of B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, which actually form the integral part of eukaryote immunity. Now, so far the development of these B and T cells is concerned, these cells, T cells and B cells of the immune system, are basically derived from the pluripotent stem cell in the bone marrow. This is a long bone which contains the bone marrow. The bone marrow is basically of two types: the red bone marrow at the ends and the yellow bone marrow. This bone marrow is actually the hemopoietic organ, that means where the development of blood cells takes place. Now these pluripotent stem cells in the bone marrow, actually these cells, B and T lymphocytes, develop from these pluripotent stem cells. The pluripotency means that a cell can differentiate into many different types of tissue cells. The pluripotent stem cell can form either myeloid stem cell, or it can form the lymphoid stem cell. The myeloid stem cells actually differentiate and develop into blood cells like erythrocytes, thrombocytes or platelets, monocytes, macrophages, neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, etc. Whereas the lymphoid stem cells differentiate and develop into T cells or T lymphocytes or B lymphocytes and natural killer cells. Since these lymphoid stem cells, where they form the B cells or T cells, which are actually premature B cells or T cells, and they get matured in this gut and submucosa of the gut in mammals, while as in birds they mature in the bursa fabrics. That is why their name is B lymphocyte. That means their development takes place in bursa fabrics in birds, while as in mammals the maturity of these immature B cells occurs in the gut submucosa in mammals. These mature B cells then differentiate into memory cells and plasma cells. Now these plasma cells actually form the antibodies, which we already discussed, that they are the specialized proteins produced in body in response to the antigen that actually circulate in the body fluids, or that is the blood and lymph. While as these premature T cells that develop from the lymphoid stem cell, for maturation they go into the thymus where the maturation occurs. That is why their name is T lymphocyte, because their maturation takes place in the thymus. Then these mature T cells then finally differentiate into cytotoxic T cells, helper T cells, or memory T cells, which form the part of this eukaryote immune defense mechanism. Now that is all for today. In our next topic we will discuss about the antibodies in detail and the components of eukaryote immunity. Thank you.